From Cupertino, and I want to make sure correct me if I have your title wrong, if I mispronounce your name. Ms. Kelly Klein, who's the Economic Director for the City of Cupertino. And to her left, I'm bad with my directions, is Michael Brio, who's a Senior Planner for the City of San Jose. And I have to say, I have the pleasure right now serving on the General Plan Task Force with Michael, and he's a great source of information. And then to his left, from the City of Sunnyvale, Connie Versellis, who's the Business Development Manager. Yes. And then to her left is Angela Tway, who's the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Fremont. And next to her is Dave, and this one I'm going to try. Bonacorsi,
very good. Thank you.
Dave Bonacorsi, who is the Planning Commissioner for the City of Fremont. So Fremont's doing a tag team here for us today. And then, last but not least, from the City of Santa Clara, Yen-Han Chen, who's an Associate Planner for the City of Santa Clara. Okay. First, I'll try to moderate, do my best to moderate. I know we have some very good information coming out, so I'll try to keep things going a little bit. I know we're going to have a lot of information. If you have questions, I'm going to ask that we hold the questions to the end for today's program. So I want to start with Ms. Klein first to tell us a little bit about what's happening in the city of Cupertino, your just kind of a brief survey of different development plans that's going on.
Happy to do that. Ni hao. Xie for having me come today. I appreciate it. I've now exhausted my Chinese vocabulary. First of all, just say I'm very pleased to be here, and I hope that I can get on your mailing list and be able to attend events with you in the future. Representing the city of Cupertino, we want to say how pleased we are that you choose to meet here in Cupertino Square and in Dynasty specifically. It's wonderful that you have such a nice history here with our city. Everyone should have received a package from me. It has my business card, and a copy of an electronic newsletter that I send out quarterly. If you want to give me your card after the luncheon today, I'm happy to put you on the mailing list so you receive this right in your very own email box on a regular basis. And then last but not least, just a compilation of demographics for the city of Cupertino. I'm going to give you a brief overview of development activity, but I want you to know that any time that you want to get the very, very latest of what's going on development activity-wise for the city, that you can get a development activity report directly from our website, from the economic development page. Just go to projects, and it will give you a one-page summary of every single project going on, whether it's retail, residential, office, industrial. It's all there, and it's updated monthly. So just to launch into the update, I'm going to start with retail because that's where we have the most activity right now in the city. There's almost 400,000 square feet of new retail space that's somewhere in the pipeline, many projects of which have been already approved and some of which are winding their way through the process right now. One project, so I'll start here since we're in Cupertino Square. A lot of you may have been following the progress of the mall, and some of you may be looking for an update. Since last September, this mall has had new owners, Orbit Resources, who probably by the end of this calendar year will have invested about $8 million in this asset.
Wow.
Pretty significant. You may notice that there's just a lot of look and feel aspects to the mall that are looking and feeling better. They've made a lot of investment here. And what some of you may not know is that they have new retail space planned for the mall along the street level. So across the street where you see JCPenney's and there's a new parking garage, that parking garage will be ringed with new retail space, about 45,000 square feet. Across the street is a piece of property that we affectionately call the Rose Bowl. I think they call it a Rose Bowl because it's actually concave. There's like a big hole in the ground. But eventually, that's been approved for a pretty major mixed-use project that will have ground floor retail and condominium units, about 200 above.
Wow.
The Evershine Group, which owns the Marketplace Center on Stevens Creek Boulevard, has in the last year purchased that Rose Bowl property and is moving forward with development plans. We expect that they will have all of their application and submittals ready by the end of the year to move forward on that, so we might be able to see construction as early as next year for both of the retail on both sides of the street. Cupertino Village, I'm sure most of you are familiar with because it's a thriving center anchored by Ranch 99 and lots of really fabulous restaurants and dim sum, and it's just, as you know, a really thriving center. Believe it or not, they are going to add 25,000 square feet to that center.
Oh, how about parking? Parking. Parking.
And a parking garage. So along the back fence, there's actually going to be a parking structure, 2 levels, that will accommodate the extra parking needs and hopefully alleviate some of the parking situation that's there now. They're a victim of their success there because it's a very busy center. There are also proposals to adding new retail space at the Oaks, a new hotel, as well as a mixed-use building there. Marketplace, you can see construction going on right now, where they are going to be adding 30-some-odd thousand square feet of new retail space in a 2-story building, and the framing is up, and you can see that coming along. It has some new tenants coming in there too. Marikai Japanese Supermarket and Daiso, which is a kind of a living-wear provider. And then last but not least, some of you may have heard that there is a new proposal moving forward, very beginning of the process by Sandhill Properties for the property that Toll Brothers had been working on for so long. And unfortunately, that project did not move forward, but Sandhill has a new concept that they're hoping to get support for. It's a mixed-use opportunity, as much as about 150,000 square feet of retail, a little bit of office, some senior age-restricted housing, and maybe a large-scale fitness club. And they are going to be having a community meeting in the next couple of weeks. If you want more information about that, if you want to go to the meeting and hear in more detail what they've got planned, let me know. That's happening in early July. But in tandem with that, there is what we're calling the South Valco Master Plan that's on a parallel track as that new development that's going to really talk about how all of these new projects in the South Valco area, including the mall and the Rose Bowl and this new Sandhill property project, all connect to one another and evolve over time. And there are upcoming meetings on that as well. So a lot of activity here in South Valco. Let me know if you want more information. In the office realm, probably the only community with spec retail that's coming on the market right now that is probably, cross our fingers, fully leased. Sandhill Properties has developed a 60,000 square foot building that you can see right on De Anza Boulevard, just down the street from Apple. They're not releasing the name of the tenant, but you might be able to guess who might be interested in that. And then on Tantau, just sort of behind where we are now, there is a 100,000 square foot spec office building under development by, some of you may know Larry Wallerstein and guys from Tape Development. They just had a broker outreach recently where probably about 50 brokers showed up, and we're taking a look at that new building. It's right next to the new Kaiser facility. So we're expecting that to get a lot of interest as well. They like to hold out for a single tenant, but I think they're ready to divide it if need be. In the residential realm, some of you may have been kind of tracking some of our history with residential projects here in the last couple years. There's been a lot of focus on residential development as it relates to potential impact on schools. Schools are very important here in Cupertino, and everybody wants to make sure that we maintain their status as being some of the best in the nation. It has really put the skids, though, on our residential development, and so our numbers have been fairly modest in this realm. That being said, you might be surprised to know that in the last year we've had about 225 units come online, and
wow.
Either fully completed or in the construction pipeline. And there's more information that I can give you on that if you are interested. A couple other things that I wanted to mention to you, especially for those of you, can you raise your hand if you're doing residential real estate in Cupertino? Yeah, a lot of you. Some of you may remember the R1 ordinance, which got a lot of focus a while back ago. We're actually doing a review of that ordinance. We're not changing the FAR, and we're not going to change the setback requirements, but there's been some discussion about the fact that what it's resulted in is a lot of new houses